Evening, I'm Spot On Weather meteorologist Matthew Euler. Welcome to my latest video. Now, in this video, I decided to take a little bit of a break from the training series, and I decided to take a look at La Niña summers and the following winter temperature anomalies. So, I'm kind of taking a break from the training videos, and now I'm going to just kind of examine I just did a little bit of research here on past La Nina summers and following winter temp anomalies. Let's go ahead and get right into this video. All right, so I decided to take a look at La Nina summers and the following winter temperature anomalies across the United States. Now, my results section of this video from this research will be mainly focused on the temp anomalies for the Mid-Atlantic, but I am showing the full scale map of the temperature anomalies across the entire United States. So if you live anywhere in the United States, you're definitely going to enjoy this presentation because you'll still be able to see where you live in relation to what the temperature anomalies were. But again, at the end, I'll focus on the Mid-Atlantic solely. But yes, I hope you really enjoy the presentation. So when I talk about summers, I examined summers when La Nina onset began during the months of July, August, and September, going back to about 1980. So we're talking about, that'd be 44 years worth of data, looking at the La Ninas going back 44 years. By the way, we do have the forecast for similar La Nina conditions to develop later this summer around the same time period, July, August, going into September. And so that's why I was so intrigued by this topic. I just wanted to take a look. Now, I am looking solely at La Nina alone in this presentation. I am not looking at any of the other teleconnections. I'm not looking at what they were. Were they positive or negative? I wasn't looking at any of that. I was just strictly looking at La Nina. Events that come on in late summer, July through the September period, and then I looked at the following winter temp anomalies. Now, there were varying La Nina strengths during my research that were noted over the period. I'll get more into that towards the end when I wrap up with my conclusion. Now, what is La Nina? Let's just get a broad-based definition of La Nina. This refers to persistent, colder than normal. When we say colder than normal temperature, water temperatures or sea surface temperature anomalies, we talk about on the order of 0.5 degrees Celsius or greater anomalies, below normal anomalies, across the central and the eastern equatorial Pacific, generally running from 170 to 120 degrees west longitude and 5 degrees north to 5 degrees south latitude. So generally, we're looking right in this area here, okay? We're looking at this particular area. So as you can see on this example in the bottom right, these are sea surface temperature anomalies or water temperature anomalies. How far above or below normal they are. You can see the scale here on the right showing these values and what these different colors equate to. And so in this case, we had a La Nina condition across that met that criteria of La Nina. We had conditions, water temperatures below normal off the west coast of South America, off Peru, and working their way westward. All right, so I looked at these past La Nina periods. These particular years I'm showing you is when La Nina conditions started coming on, again, this July to September period. So we saw this happen in 1985, and at that point in time in 85, it was for the July, August, September period, the sea surface temperature anomalies were about 0.5 degrees Celsius below normal. 1988, 1.1 degrees Celsius below normal water temps. In 1995, minus 0.5 degrees Celsius water temperatures, basically 0.5 degrees below normal. 1998, 1.1 degrees Celsius below normal. In 1999, we saw La Nina conditions in the period from July to September, 1.1 degrees Celsius below normal. Year 2000, minus 0.5 degrees Celsius below normal. 2007, minus 0.8 degrees Celsius below normal water temperatures. 2010, minus 1.3 Celsius, so a little bit stronger in 2010. Those departures from normal in the July through September time period. 2011, minus 0.6 degrees Celsius below normal. 2016, minus 0.5 degrees Celsius below normal. And here's the rest. Most recently, the 3 straight La Nina years we had was 2020, 2021, and 2022. Now, these are the La Nina categories, the strength criteria, or strength categories. So whenever you see these values ranging from minus zero point 0.5 to minus 0.9 Celsius, so basically half a degree to just under a full degree Celsius below normal, we classify that as a weak La Nina. Moderate La Nina would be anywhere from 1.0 to 1.4 degrees Celsius below normal water temperatures in that eastern and central equatorial Pacific Ocean. And then strong La Nina would be a minus 1.5 degrees Celsius or lower, or a greater departure from normal for those sea surface temperature anomalies. So these were the specific periods, these years I looked at. I went back to 1980, and it ranges from 85 to 2022 for actual La Nina type events. So let's just examine temperature anomalies, mean temperature anomalies for these months. This data, by the way, these graphics are courtesy of the PRISM Climate Database. All right, I'm not going to take a look at the precip for the following winter, okay? I will look at that in the next video. But for this video solely, let's just take a look at the mean temperature anomalies. When I say mean, average temperature anomalies. Now this was July on the left, August in the middle, and September on the right. This was 1985. And you'll notice whenever you see the orange colors, that indicates above normal temperature anomalies. Whenever you see the blues and the greens and the purples, that's indicative of below normal temperatures for the month. So starting off with July of 85, you kind of see where the warmth was. It was across the Pacific Northwest. And then it was quite cool in the eastern U.S. I mean, not drastically, not terribly cool in July of 85, but ranging from 1 to 2 degrees Fahrenheit below normal, especially in the mid-Atlantic states and also down along the Gulf Coast of Texas. In August of 85, we had a switch a little bit. We had this green coloring indicating -4 to -5, so 4 to 5 degrees Fahrenheit below normal across the northern plain states into Montana and Idaho and parts of Oregon and Nevada. And we had a little patch of above normal temperatures across Texas. And again, about 1 to 2 degrees Fahrenheit below normal across the Carolinas, right up through Pennsylvania, Ohio Valley in August 85. Over here on the right is September 85. Look how below normal conditions were across the western U.S. We're starting to see these purple shadings show up, and that's indicative of below normal temperatures in the order of 8 to 10 degrees Fahrenheit. Whenever you see this purple, that's quite significant in September 85. We still see a patch of below normal readings, slightly below normal, nothing significant across the southeastern U.S., right on up to Kentucky and Virginia. Now, let's see what happened. This was a weak La Nina, by the way, at this point in time, July through September 85. What happened the following winter? So winter, I'm going to use the months of December on the left. Whenever you see winter mean temperature anomalies, this graphic on the left is temperature anomalies for December. This in the middle is going to be January, and this on the right is going to be February. So think of it, December, January, February, okay? So winter 85, 86. December 85 was extremely cold across the Midwest. In particular, you could see this purplish color, this darker purplish color across eastern Iowa up to Wisconsin. The temperatures in December 85 were 15 to 16 degrees Fahrenheit below normal. We also see green extending all the way to the East Coast, up to New England, all the way down the Gulf Coast. So again, below normal conditions. Midwest, pretty much a whole eastern U.S., let's just say that. We also have below normal conditions across the Intermountain West, across parts of Idaho, and kind of extending working their way a little bit further towards western or eastern Oregon there and eastern Washington. All right, look at the anomalies, temperature anomalies here in the center for January of 86. Now we've got so much above normal temperature anomalies from eastern Nebraska all the way down to Kansas to eastern Colorado. And another really, this brown coloring here is indicative of, that's 9 to 11 degrees Fahrenheit above normal for the month of January of 86 across western North Dakota into Montana. And even parts of Nevada was well above normal. The eastern U.S., the mid-Atlantic, southward to the Gulf Coast and Florida was below normal by the blue coloring here. And then over here on the right was February of 86. Below normal up to New England, below normal in the Midwest, Iowa, Illinois, also below normal stripe from Montana through the Dakotas into southwestern Minnesota. with above normal temps in February of 86, generally south of Interstate 40 all the way to the Gulf Coast, so the southeastern U.S., Texas, 1 to 3 degrees Fahrenheit above normal in this lighter orange shading here. Let's now take a look at July, August, and September of 1988. The mean temperature anomalies during July on the left, August in the center, and September on the right. This was a moderate La Nina. The conditions were moderate La Nina. In July of 88 here on the left, showing you below normal temperature anomalies, just slightly below normal, on the order of 1 degree Fahrenheit below normal, maybe 2 degrees here up in northern Florida. In July of 88, a much more robust area of below normal temperatures across eastern New Mexico as well as southwestern Texas, including you in El Paso, Texas. We had a little patch of below normal readings across the Pacific Northwest, and then we had above normal temperatures in July of 88 over Minnesota and Wisconsin in particularly, slightly above normal in New England. We look at August of 88 here in the center, and now we have the main warm temperature anomalies in August of 88 across northern Illinois and eastern Iowa. I was living in Illinois at the time, and I can tell you it was very hot in August of 88. It also coincided with drought-like conditions, so it wasn't a very good summer if you like were missing the rain and you wanted it cooler. It was a very hot and dry Midwestern time in August of 88. Below normal temperature anomalies across the southwestern U.S. as well as Pacific Northwest. And then September of 88, we see below normal temperatures going all the way from the mid-Atlantic, extending up to Maine. So much, basically 1 to 4 degrees Fahrenheit below normal in these areas. We had a little patch of above normal readings, not quite as hot as it was in August 88 across Iowa and Illinois. And we had below normal readings showing up across a lot of the mountainous areas of the western U.S. around the Rockies. Now, what was the winter of 88-89 like? December on the left, January in the center, and then February of 89 on the right. So starting off in December of 88, we had below normal readings extending pretty much all the way up and down the East Coast. The most significant below normal temperature readings were across Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. We have also below normal readings across the western U.S. We had one little pocket of above normal temperatures extending from Texas, Kansas, and Oklahoma, Nebraska, as well as South Dakota up to eastern Montana. In January of 89, everybody east of the Mississippi River, well, really just east of the Rocky Mountains, was saying, where in the world is winter in January of 89? Because this is what you have for anomalies. The state of Iowa, if you lived in the state of Iowa, in Des Moines, Iowa City, Ottumwa, anywhere in those areas, over towards, this would be closer to Omaha, Nebraska, right across the river here. The temperatures, air temperatures were 8 to 10 degrees Fahrenheit above normal in this brown shading in January of 89. So a considerable part of the eastern U.S., the Midwest and Gulf Coast were above normal in January 89. Meanwhile, the western U.S. was shivering. For those of you in Utah, for those of you in Nevada, for those of you in the higher elevations, even down to the lower elevations of Southern California, it was below normal. Over here on the right is February 89 temperature anomalies. Look at this pocket over Montana. We're talking in February 89, these temperature readings were on the order of 15 to 18 degrees Fahrenheit below normal over much of the state of Montana in February of 89. Look at the purple extending all the way southeastward, that cold polar air just extending and pouring southeastward down to Oklahoma City, down to Kansas City, down to Des Moines and Omaha. Those of you in South Dakota, Minneapolis, even into northern Illinois, we're talking purple coloring here. On the scale, that means temperatures were 9 to 11 degrees up to 12 degrees Fahrenheit below normal in February of 89. Just slightly below normal readings by about a degree Fahrenheit over Virginia, coastal Virginia up to coastal New Jersey. There was a little bit of a stripe of a 1 to 2 degree Fahrenheit above normal reading there across parts of southeastern Georgia. Moving on now to July, August, and September 1995. This is our next La Nina event in late summer. In this case, in this period of 95, July, August, and September, we saw a weak La Nina develop. And we had in July here, July 95 on the left, showing much below normal temperatures, cooler than normal temperatures across the western U.S., indicated by the blues and greens. And whenever you don't see any coloring here, that basically indicates the temperatures were near normal. We do see some pockets in the orange coloring of above normal or warmer than normal conditions for July of 95. Now, look what happens in August of 95. This was a very, very dangerous time period if you lived in Chicago, for example. This was a year that there were over 700 fatalities in the month of August of 95 due to a massive heat wave in Chicago. There was just nobody knew how to deal with such heat. And the bad thing is the nighttime wasn't any better. And so you can see, look at these temperature anomalies, 6 to 7 degrees Fahrenheit above normal. Eastern Iowa, southern Wisconsin, northern Illinois, northern Indiana. This was the hotspot bullseye in August of 95. Everywhere else, you see a pocket of cooler temperature readings across the Pacific Northwest in August 95. And over here on the right is September 95. So now things have changed in the Pacific Northwest. They've gone slightly above normal, 1 to 2 degrees Fahrenheit above normal across Washington and Oregon, above normal across parts of the desert Southwest, including you in southern Arizona. And then much of the rest of the U.S. east of the Rockies was below normal temperature-wise in September 95. Those of you that just suffered with that terrible heat wave in Chicago are now cooler than normal on the order of 3 to 4 degrees Fahrenheit for the month of September of 95. What happened that following winter with the temperature anomalies now? All right, here is December 95 on the left. Look at how cold December of 95 was from the lower Great Lakes, those of you in lower Michigan, Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York State, up to Maine, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Delaware, all the way down into Virginia. Pennsylvania's in that area, Ohio. This green coloring in December 95, it was a cold one. And the Ohio Valley, right on the I-95 corridor, was also below normal along the immediate U.S.-Canadian border, with the warmest temperature anomalies in December 95 across the western U.S. In January of 96, in the middle here, we see much below normal readings indicative by this purple color here, purple shading, 12 to 14 degrees Fahrenheit below normal for you in Montana, into North Dakota, into northern Minnesota. Blues generally indicate below normal readings as well, but not quite as significant as the purple shading. We're talking 3 to 4 degrees Fahrenheit below normal in January of 96 along the East Coast. A little pocket of warmth across the desert Southwest, right on back from Nevada to California, including Arizona. And over here on the right is February 96, still remaining slightly below normal. Tennessee Valley, Ohio Valley, right along the East Coast again. Even you down in Southwest Florida, look at this. You were 4 to 6 degrees Fahrenheit below normal in this green color here on the southwest portion of the Florida Peninsula in February of 96. And meanwhile, we had above normal readings across Arizona, New Mexico, some of the Four Corners region here, Utah and Colorado, as well as coastal California. What about July, August, September 1998? We had a moderate La Nina developed by this point in time, late summer. Here is July of 98. We see a pocket of warmer than normal readings indicated by these orange coloring across southern Oklahoma into northern Texas. We had another pocket of above normal readings for you in Washington into northern Idaho. Readings were 3 to 4 degrees Fahrenheit above normal. And just slightly cooler than normal conditions from the Ohio Valley right through Pennsylvania, New York State on northeastward, right along coastal Jersey, as well as coastal Delaware. Now, August of 98 here in the center, there were some pockets of above normal readings up towards Montana, where you're on the order of 4 degrees Fahrenheit above normal in northeastern Montana, as well as North Dakota. We did see a pocket of above normal readings in North Texas to Oklahoma, eastern Oklahoma, 2 to 3 degrees Fahrenheit above normal as well. But nothing really significant. We don't see the dark greens or the purple colors for the colder than normal anomalies. We don't see super bright red coloring either in August of 98. Now, what about September of 98? Things changed across the middle of the country. Oklahoma and southern Kansas, you were the hottest location along with eastern Montana. These two locations were averaging 4 to as much as 8 degrees Fahrenheit above normal in September of 98. We did have one cooler than normal pocket across southern Nevada into southern California, right along the mountainous areas there, the Sierra Nevada. There was another pocket of warmer conditions across northern Virginia, but in general, it was a fairly warm United States as a whole in September of 98. Winter that followed this, winter of 98-99, mean temp anomalies. December, Eastern U.S., east of the Rockies, above normal. You had to go to the Pacific Northwest, right on down the Pacific coast into northern and central California to be cooler than normal in December of 98. Look at the center here. Temperature anomalies in January of 99. The coldest pocket of air now is over the upper Midwest, northern plains, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Illinois, Iowa, and northern Missouri. Other than that cold pocket, it was pretty much above normal in a large chunk of the United States in January of 99. Over here on the right, February of 99, look at these anomalies up in the northern U.S. South Dakota, you were 10 to 13 degrees Fahrenheit above normal. Iowa, 9 to 10 degrees Fahrenheit above normal. Eastern Montana, yes, I'm mentioning you again, 9 to 11 degrees Fahrenheit above normal in February of 99. And that heat, that above normal warmth extended all the way down to Texas, to the Gulf Coast. Over here on the far left portion of this February 99 graphic, we had cooler than normal temperatures from southern Oregon right on into northern California. Let's take a look now at July, August, September 1999 mean temperature anomalies. Now this was a moderate La Nina that developed in this particular late summer time period in 99. So July of 99, we saw above normal readings from the Midwest to the Mid-Atlantic. We saw below normal temperature readings from the Pacific Northwest and Montana extending southward to Arizona, California, right on down to southern Texas. We had slightly below normal conditions. If we look at the August 99 temperature anomalies here in the center, we had colder than normal readings across California, Nevada, Utah, western Colorado, western portions of New Mexico, northern portions of Arizona. We saw slightly below normal readings across the Midwest, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, extending northeastward into New England. We saw above normal readings across anywhere south, generally along and south of Interstate 40, Oklahoma City, Dallas, Shreveport, Louisiana. We're looking at Jackson, Mississippi, Montgomery, Alabama, Birmingham, Atlanta, right on up to you in Columbia, South Carolina. Above normal readings on the order of 1 to 3 Fahrenheit, 1 to 3 degrees Fahrenheit above normal in August 99, and then in September 99 here on the right. Look how things turned blue over a big chunk of the United States. Readings were 1 to 3 degrees Fahrenheit below normal across Virginia and the Carolinas. Right on down to the Florida Panhandle. We saw a major chunk of cooler than normal readings in the green color here on the order of 4 to 6 degrees Fahrenheit below normal across western North Dakota, eastern Montana, large chunk of Wyoming, as well as northeastern Colorado. We had above normal readings. Really the only place that was above normal for the month for temperatures in September of 1999 was up here in Maine, where your readings were 5 to 6 degrees Fahrenheit above normal in the state of Maine. Looking at the winter that followed, 1999-2000 winter mean temperature anomalies, look at this. This is December of 99. Oh wow, look at this. 10 to 12 degrees Fahrenheit above normal for you in central and eastern Montana, the Dakotas. We had below normal readings, 1 to 2 degrees Fahrenheit below normal across the deep south, Gulf Coast, right up to South Carolina, including Florida. In January of 2000, we had cooler than normal readings along the East Coast. And then we had cooler than normal readings along the Pacific Northwest coast, Seattle right down to Portland. And then we had above normal readings across much of the central U.S. Southern Texas, you had a pretty mild month in January of 2000. Over here on the right are the mean temperature anomalies for February 2000 now. Now look at this warmth in February 2000. Those of you living there in eastern North Dakota, western or northwestern Minnesota, into parts of eastern South Dakota, right into central Iowa, on the order of 8 to 12 degrees Fahrenheit above normal for February of 2000. Now let's take a look at July, August, September 2000 mean temperature anomalies. Now this period in 2000, these months, we saw a weak La Nina coming on. So July of 2000, these were your temperature anomalies. The green coloring indicating 4 to 6 degrees Fahrenheit below normal readings, stretching from northern Virginia right up to the coast. Delmarva area, New Jersey, Long Island, New York City, you're in this. Connecticut, Massachusetts, southern Vermont, New Hampshire, New York State, and PA, Pennsylvania. And then we have slightly above normal readings across the Gulf Coast area, as well as Montana into Wyoming. We saw another area in July of 2000 with below normal readings across California, northern and central portions specifically. In August of 2000 in the center, look at the below normal readings by the blue coloring up and down the East Coast. We had well above normal readings across Kansas on the order of, this is 5 to 7 degrees Fahrenheit above normal in August of 2000. So it was a hot month in Kansas. And then over here on the right, September of 2000, below normal readings across the western U.S. We saw below normal readings across the upper Midwest, below normal readings all the way up and down the East Coast. So it was a fairly cool period for those of you living along the East Coast from July of 2000 to September of 2000. Let's examine the winter temperature anomalies the following winter, 2001. Look at December. It was frigid. This purple coloring here is the magenta purplish color indicates temperatures in the order of 14 to 16 degrees Fahrenheit below normal. Illinois, Iowa, northern Missouri, southern Minnesota. But even this regular purple shading almost makes it all the way to the Atlantic Ocean, right to the East Coast, all the way down to the deep south, 8 to 10 degrees Fahrenheit below normal readings. For those of you that are fairly mild normally, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, we saw above normal readings across the southwestern United States in December of 2000. What about January of 2001 now? Much below normal across Florida and the deep south. We saw slightly below normal readings across the mid-Atlantic areas, coastal areas of New England. We also saw below normal readings across the southwestern U.S. There were above normal readings across the northern U.S. in this case. And over here on the right, February 2001, we replaced these much above normal temperature readings in the northern U.S. in January of 01 with much below normal temperature readings in February of 01. And things did get milder in February across the eastern U.S. as well. Let's look at July through September 2007, the mean temperature anomalies. This was also when a weak La Niña came on. July of 07, you see where the coolest readings are. The coolest of the coolest readings are across central and western Texas on the order of 4 to 6 degrees Fahrenheit below normal in this green shading. But we still had slightly below normal readings all the way up and down the Interstate 95 corridor, the Ohio Valley, 1 to 3 degrees Fahrenheit below normal temperature values in July of 07. The warmth was over Montana and Idaho, the western portions of the Dakotas, where the temperatures were 7 to 9 degrees Fahrenheit above normal. We look at the middle picture here, on the middle graphic. This is August of 2007 temperature anomalies, showing much above normal readings across, this time, the Tennessee Valley, right to the Ohio River Valley, Missouri River Valley, this general area, Missouri, Arkansas, Tennessee, Kentucky, southern Indiana, and Illinois. You were on the order of 5 to 8 degrees Fahrenheit above normal in the month of August in the year 2007. Looking over here on the right is September 07. Those hotter than normal areas were still slightly above normal. In September, we saw below normal readings across the western U.S., the West Coast in general. Winter that followed, 2007-08 mean temperature anomalies. Now this is December 07 on the left, showing well below normal readings in the green coloring here from Minnesota, Iowa, Kansas, and Nebraska. Temperatures were on the order of 4 to 6 degrees Fahrenheit below normal in December of 07, so it was a very cold month for you there. We see almost like a ridge-like configuration, very mild temperatures, anywhere from 2 to 4 degrees Fahrenheit above normal from the mid-Atlantic southward to the southeastern U.S. and Florida, as well as you in Louisiana and eastern Texas. By the time we got to January of 08, look how much below normal by this green coloring we have across a large area of the western U.S., and then look how much above normal things were up in the New England area, specifically you in New York State, on the order of 4 to 6 degrees Fahrenheit above normal. And then over here on the right is February of 2008. Now the colder area shifted a little bit further east in February of 08. You notice how much below normal things were, 4 to 6 degrees. In some cases, this purple stripe is 8 degrees Fahrenheit below normal across eastern Iowa in February of 08. But that cooler than normal reading is really focused on the upper Midwest in the month of February 08. We also had some cooler than normal readings across the southwestern U.S. We had slightly above normal readings from the mid-Atlantic down to the Carolinas, as well as Texas. All right, moving on to July, August, and September of 2010, mean temperature anomalies. Now, in this particular late summer of 2010, we had a moderate La Niña. July of 2010 featured slightly above normal temperatures for the anywhere basically east of the Mississippi River to the East Coast. We saw a pocket of below normal temperatures across Texas and New Mexico, as well as Montana, Idaho, portions of eastern Washington, Oregon, as well as Wyoming. In August of 2010, we had much above normal readings. Anywhere really east of the Rocky Mountains, we had above normal temperatures. It was a warmer than normal month for many of you in August of 2010. We go west of the Rocky Mountains to the west coast, and we have blue coloring. It's below normal now. And then finally, September 2010 here on the right, showing much below normal readings, specifically across northern Minnesota by this green coloring. But that blue coloring goes all the way back to the Pacific Northwest, right there through Montana. We had milder readings, generally south of Interstate 80, and then also east of 95 to the coast. What did the winter of 2010-2011, what were those temperature anomalies look like? So what was that winter like? December was frigid. December 2010, this was a beast of a winter for those of you in the Ohio Valley to the mid-Atlantic, southward to the southeast, even Florida. I mean, when you're 11 to 12 degrees Fahrenheit below normal in December in Florida, you know you're going to grab a coat and you know it's going to be chilly. So really, east of the Rocky Mountains was anomalously colder than normal in December of 2010. You go west of the Rocky Mountains again and you're well above normal. We're talking 5 to 8 degrees Fahrenheit above normal in some of these brighter orange colorings across the Four Corners region. What about January of 2011? Look at this. Much of the United States was below normal. Southeastern U.S., southern Georgia, the Carolinas, up to coastal Virginia, up to Delaware, New Jersey, parts of PA, Pittsburgh. You were shivering in January of 2011, 4 to 5 degrees Fahrenheit below normal. And then another pocket of well below normal readings across Iowa, eastern Nebraska, eastern South Dakota, eastern North Dakota, and much of the state of Minnesota, northern Missouri, southern Illinois, northeastern Kansas, 4 to 6 degrees Fahrenheit below normal in January of 2011. Over here on the right is February of 2011. It really appears in February that a lot of this colder air kind of seemed like it shifted back to the west. And so look at you in Montana now in February 2011. You're sitting in the purple coloring here in eastern Montana. You're 10 to 12 degrees Fahrenheit below normal in that purple coloring. Green all the way down, 4 to 6 degrees Fahrenheit all the way down, 4 to 6 degrees Fahrenheit below normal, all the way down to Arizona and New Mexico. There was a slightly milder than normal pocket of air in February 2011 across Virginia, West Virginia, southward. Let's look at July through September 2011. In this case, we had weak La Nina conditions develop. July, you were ablazing under this bright orange coloring here in southern Kansas and Oklahoma. My goodness, get the fans and the air conditioning out and get that ready. I'm sure you were using it back in July of 2011 because you're looking at 7 degrees Fahrenheit above normal readings in one of the hottest months of the year. So I would imagine that would equate to a lot of triple-digit heat. Northern Texas, much above normal. Much of the eastern U.S. was slightly above normal, east of those hot pockets. Cooler than normal readings, you had to go to the Pacific Northwest and get some natural air conditioning across Washington and Oregon. How about August of 2011? Same spot, shifted just slightly to the south along the Red River, but I'm not kidding here. This is 7 to 9 degrees Fahrenheit above normal. You're sweltering in Dallas, you're sweltering in Kansas, up to Kansas City, and Oklahoma City, Kansas City over here. But yeah, you have a very hot pocket of air across northern and central Texas. And then over here on the right, September 2011, things finally started cooling down, gave you relief. Above normal readings, 2 to 4 degrees Fahrenheit above normal in the Pacific Northwest back in September 2011. That's an above normal area for temperatures, and below normal in the blue and the greens across the central U.S. Slightly above normal readings across New England. What happened the following winter? 2011-2012 winter, mean temperature anomalies, December here on the left, showing you well above normal readings. Oh yeah, have I said this before? Eastern Montana and the Dakotas into Minnesota, yes I have. 5 to as much as 8 degrees Fahrenheit above normal in December of 2011. Even along the whole entire East Coast, it was above normal. We're talking 3 to 5 degrees Fahrenheit up and down the East Coast, above normal. And then we had a pocket of 5 to 7 degrees Fahrenheit below normal readings across eastern New Mexico. But that was the cold spot of the country in December of 2011. January 2012, where's winter? I see no blue and I hardly see any green. I take that back. There's a slight area of blue across Seattle, Puget Sound, up in the very far northwestern tip of Washington. And down here in southern Florida, it was a whopping 0.5, half a degree Fahrenheit below normal. Other than that, look at this warmth in January of 2012. Over here in February 2012, look at how warm things were in the upper Midwest up to New England. We're talking 5 to 7 to 9 in some pockets here in Minnesota. 9 degrees Fahrenheit above normal near Duluth, Minnesota. Incredible warmth for the wintertime. Well, slightly below normal readings across the Rockies, Denver, those areas, western U.S. How about July through September 2016, the mean temperature anomalies? This was a weak La Nina. In July of 16, we only had slightly below normal temps across the Pacific Northwest. Everywhere else was pretty much slightly above normal in the deep south, all the way up to New England, including the mid-Atlantic. August 2016, anywhere east of the Mississippi River was above normal. Specifically, the warmest anomalies were across Ohio, western PA, into southwestern New York State, where temperatures were 4 to 6 degrees Fahrenheit above normal. We did have slightly below normal readings, generally around the Rocky Mountain area, the Intermountain West. And then we had a little bit of milder readings, above normal readings, 1 to 2 degrees Fahrenheit above normal, Northern California up to Oregon. Look at this in September 2016, below normal readings across the western U.S., above normal readings. Wow, the eastern U.S., you're looking at 4 to 6 degrees Fahrenheit above normal readings across western Virginia, western North Carolina, northern Georgia down to Atlanta. You have those of you in Mississippi and Alabama, Illinois. Look how much orange is on, how much coverage the orange is on this U.S. map in September 2016. And look at over here on the West Coast, it's slightly below normal with the blue coloring. Winter 16-17, mean temperature anomalies. December, the coldest air was across the Pacific Northwest into Montana. You had above normal readings along the immediate Gulf Coast, slightly below normal readings across the Midwest. In January of 2017, wow, the same area was very much below normal as far as temperatures. Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Montana, into parts of Wyoming, below normal. Nevada, you're included in that as well. And then it was well above normal in January 2017. Look at this. Dallas, New Orleans, Mobile, Biloxi, Pensacola. Look at these. Jackson, Birmingham, Atlanta, Nashville, Paducah. Indianapolis, you're well above normal in January of 17. Columbus, Ohio, you are well above normal. Dayton, all the way over to Pittsburgh, right up to New England. Boston, all the way up Brunswick, Maine. It is just warm in the east for January 17. And look at this, February 17. Whoa, is this really a winter month at this point? This is ridiculous. The brown coloring is indicative of temperatures that are running 9 to 12 degrees Fahrenheit above normal in this light brown shading. And look how much real estate it's covering. Southern Minnesota, Iowa, Illinois, Missouri, Indiana, and Ohio. And, anywhere else outside the brown coloring was still very, very much above normal. 7 to 9 degrees Fahrenheit above normal across Virginia, all the way up to eastern PA and New York State, all the way through the Carolinas. Look at this pocket, 8 degrees Fahrenheit above normal, 8 to 9 above normal. Parts of Louisiana and eastern Texas, the only below normal spot was the state of Washington. Congratulations, state of Washington. You were 7 to 8 degrees Fahrenheit below normal in this green coloring back in February 17. Everybody else, winter is canceled. Look at July through September now. Let's move on. July to September of 2020. These are the mean temperature anomalies. This was weak La Nina conditions. In July of 2020, you see the above normal readings over much of the eastern U.S., above normal readings across West Texas. You see a blue coloring here across Montana and Idaho and eastern portions of Oregon and Washington. The temperatures were 1 to 2 degrees Fahrenheit below normal in July of 2020. Now, August of 2020, we saw a cooler than normal pocket of air develop across Kansas, eastern Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri, southern Illinois, right down to western Kentucky. Temperatures were 1 to 2 degrees Fahrenheit below normal in that light blue shading. Everywhere else we saw orange, so 1 to 3 degrees Fahrenheit above normal up the East Coast from the mid-Atlantic to New England. And then we also saw well above normal readings across the desert Southwest in August of 2020. And over here on the right is September of 2020, showing above normal temperatures along the U.S. West Coast. And then we had below normal readings specifically focused over North Texas and Oklahoma, 3 to 4 degrees Fahrenheit below normal, a slight pocket of cooler than normal readings across the mid-Atlantic and Virginia and North Carolina, 1 to 2 degrees Fahrenheit below normal in September of 2020. What did the following winter look like in the winter of 2020-21? December of 2020 here on the left, showing a very cold December for those of you living in northern and central Florida. You were 4 to 5 degrees Fahrenheit below normal. Slightly below normal in the mid-Atlantic, parts of southern Virginia, Tennessee, the Carolinas, 1 to 2 degrees Fahrenheit below normal. Well above normal for you up in Maine. It was 3 to 7 degrees Fahrenheit above normal in Maine in December of 2020. And then look at this. Ooh, it's cooking across the Dakotas as well as Montana, where the temperatures were running 7 to 9 degrees Fahrenheit above normal. In January of 2021, look at where the warmth is again. Eastern Montana, the Dakotas, where you were 10 to 13 degrees Fahrenheit above normal with this brown shading. Northwestern Minnesota, 9 degrees Fahrenheit above normal. Parts of Maine again. Yes, I'm calling you out again, Maine. Look at this, 6 to 9 degrees Fahrenheit above normal in Maine. You're probably like thinking, what in the world is going on with our weather at this point? Over here on the right, what happened? January of 2021 here in the middle, and then we go to February of 2021, and look at this purple coloring, indicating much, much below normal cold temperatures from eastern Montana straight south. This cold Arctic air works straight south into Texas. Wow. And what happened was we had the polar vortex weekend, and we had a major surge of Arctic air. The jet stream configuration changed to a deep trough, and it allowed very bitterly cold air to go all the way down the Gulf. If I recall this was correctly, I think this was the period in which Houston actually got snow, and they had that big mess with the grid, the electricity, the power grid, and all that. So it was extremely cold across the central U.S. in February 2021, much different than December of 2020 and January of 2021. Here's moving on now to the July to August, September 2021 mean temp anomalies. This was a weak La Nina came on during the late summer of 2021. We see well above normal temperature readings across the northern U.S., Montana, in the Pacific Northwest areas, Nevada, California above normal. We saw 1 to 2 degrees Fahrenheit below normal readings, a little bit cooler than normal across Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, parts of New Mexico. We saw slightly below normal readings as well, just on the order of 1 to 2 degrees across the Carolinas and Georgia. August of 2021, we saw above normal readings across New England, extending westward to the Dakotas and Nebraska. And then over here on the right is September of 2021, showing well above normal readings across the central U.S., 3 to 4 degrees, in some cases 5 degrees Fahrenheit above normal in Kansas and parts of Nebraska, slightly below normal readings in the deep south. All right, now let's look at the following winter. Winter of 2021-22, mean temp anomalies. This was December here on the left. This was ridiculous. If you lived anywhere from Texas to Oklahoma to Missouri, right up the Ohio River area in Cincinnati, what in the world is going on here, okay? We're talking about December. Usually that starts the winter season, and it usually starts the beginning of the colder temperature time of year for the U.S. And look at this. This is just crazy. 10 to 13 degrees Fahrenheit above normal from Texas northeastward to Missouri, southern Illinois, Mississippi. And then over here, I couldn't get January of 2022. It was not available, the temp anomalies on the PRISM database. I kept trying in hopes that I would get it here and throw it in here for you, but unfortunately, it's still not available. Over here on the right, February of 2022. Wow, what a switch for Texas. December 2021, well above normal, 10 to 13 degrees Fahrenheit above normal. By the time you get to February of 2022, you're on the order of 4 to 6 degrees Fahrenheit below normal. What a switch in the temperature regime. Looking at July through August, and September of 2022, mean temp anomalies. In this particular late summer, we had a weak La Nina coming on. And you look at all three of these months, July and August and September of 2022, much of the United States was dominated by above temperature readings, indicated by this orange and the deeper orange coloring. There was a slightly below normal readings in September 2022 across Kentucky, southward to the Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia area, Tennessee, but that was it. Everywhere else was above normal. Here was the winter of 22-23, the mean temp anomalies. December 2022 started off cold. We saw very cold, much below normal temperatures, on the order of 10 to 12 degrees Fahrenheit below normal across western North Dakota into Montana. We saw slightly above normal readings along the Gulf Coast of Texas, Louisiana, into Mississippi and Alabama, to the Florida Panhandle, 1 to 2 degrees Fahrenheit above normal readings. In the Mid-Atlantic in December 2022, we saw readings on the order of 2 to 3 degrees Fahrenheit below normal. And then over here for January of 2023 in the middle, things just got really warm in the east. I mean, let's just not deny it here. I mean, Indianapolis, Columbus, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, New York City, Boston. I mean, we could go on and on. Albany. We could do this all day long. Bottom line here is that brown coloring is 9 to 11 degrees Fahrenheit above normal for the month of January 2023. Just absurd. And the only cold pocket was across the southwestern U.S., outside of this little warm strip in the Sierra Nevada area. And then over here on the far right is February 2023 anomalies. I mean, I could just draw a line straight from central Canada down to the central Gulf Coast, or actually to the Texas Gulf Coast, rather. Anywhere east of that line, to the right of that line, would just be ridiculous warmth. February of 2023, we're talking 7 to 10 degrees Fahrenheit above normal for many of you from Georgia, the Carolinas, Virginia, Pennsylvania, Ohio. Oh wow, just impressive. Florida. And then over here on the left portion of February 2023, much below normal readings. So the nation literally was divided into two pieces, well below normal in the western U.S., well above normal in the east. All right, so thanks for bearing with me. That was a lot of data we just looked at. So thanks for bearing with me on that. Hopefully you're able to, if you need to pause the video, you can pause it to kind of do some comparisons yourself where you live in the United States and how these anomalies kind of lined up. So from my research, okay, just looking at La Nina alone, I'm not looking at any other teleconnections in this, okay? Just looking at when La Nina conditions develop in the late summer, the months of July, August, and September. That's all I'm looking at, okay? So I examined 13 total July, August, September La Nina event temperature anomalies, and then the following winter, the winter months of December, January, and February, those temperature anomalies. All right, so this is where things get really cool and interesting. Out of the data I had, out of the 13 total La Nina events that I examined, we had 9 total weak La Ninas and 4 moderate La Ninas. There was no case in July, August, and September of strong La Nina events. And this really makes a lot of sense because usually the La Nina will intensify as we head deeper into the fall and into the winter time. So it's not really a shock that I had no strong La Nina events, but I had 9 weak and 4 moderate La Nina events comprising the total data set of 13. This was the result of some of the temperature anomalies. So let's examine these. Real interesting things here. For July, there were 6 Julys cooler than average. There were 6 Julys that were warmer than average. And we had 1 July near average. For August, there was only 2 cooler than average months of August. We had 8 warmer than average Augusts and 3 near average Augusts. So you can see July is kind of like a 50-50 as far as if La Nina conditions develop in the month of July, you typically get, it's like 50-50. There's an equal probability of getting cooler than average month or a warmer than average month. Okay. For August, it's pretty much biased towards warmer than average when you have La Nina conditions develop in the month of August. We only saw 2 cooler than average Augusts in the past, but 8 warmer than average Augusts, and we'd have 3 near average. So the near average actually slightly outdoes the cooler than average Augusts in this case. In September, we saw 6 cooler than average September months, 5 warmer than average September months, and 2 near average September months. So it's almost a 50-50 equal probability, again, based on the last 13, La Ninas going back to 1980. The September will either be cooler or warmer than average. Moving on now. December, the following winter, after we saw those La Nina conditions develop, we saw 7 cooler than average Decembers, we saw 4 warmer than average Decembers, and we only saw 2 Decembers that were near average temperature-wise. So December is generally skewed towards colder than average when we see La Nina conditions develop in the late summer, July, August, to September time period. In January, we saw 5 cooler than average Januaries, 5 warmer than average Januaries, and we saw 2 that were near average for January. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get that one, I think it was January 2022, was unavailable. And then February, we only saw 2 cooler than average Februaries, 9 warmer than average Februaries. This is significant, skewing towards the warmer bias, and 2 near average February. So, bottom line, let's keep going here. Let's keep going. 5 of the 9 weak La Nina events I've mentioned, and 2 of the 4 moderate La Nina events that occurred in July, August, and September when La Nina came on, were followed by colder than average Decembers. So 7 out of the total 13 Decembers, 54% of these cases of the month of December were followed when you had La Nina conditions develop in late summer. 54% of these cases were followed by colder than average Decembers across the mid-Atlantic. Real interesting. So over half of the Decembers, half of those Decembers were below normal. All right. My battery light just went on, so I have got to plug this in. I apologize for the interruption. This is some rather interesting data. I don't want to have my battery die. Okay. All right. So really interesting. 54% of the Decembers were colder than average when you had La Nina onset during July, August, or September. Okay. And this is for the Mid-Atlantic, by the way. Additional results for the Mid-Atlantic. February featured above normal temperatures 9 out of 13 times. So that's 69% of the time the Mid-Atlantic saw warmer than normal Februaries when La Nina conditions existed during the preceding July, August, and September time period. Now, word of caution here. There are many other teleconnections and atmospheric oceanic interactions that may be responsible for some of these outcomes. These warmer or colder than normal outcomes, okay? With these teleconnections, they can constructively or destructively interfere with La Nina. My goal in this research was just to focus solely on La Nina onset periods during the late summer and then what the following winter temperature anomalies were. And in conclusion, here's what I come to. La Nina events during the late summer increase the probability for colder than average Decembers, a near equal probability or chance for either above or below average Januaries, and increased probability for a warmer than average February. Now, I'm not done with this research. This is just looking at temperature anomalies. You get the La Nina onset in the late summer, in the months of July, August, September. Those La Nina conditions are set in. In my next video, I'm going to look at the same July, August, and September La Nina periods, the same years. And then I'm going to examine the U.S. precipitation anomalies for July, August, September, and for the following winter, December, January, and February. And I'm really hoping I can find a really cool database of winter snowfall anomalies for the U.S. I'm still looking for that. I know, Rutgers has got a nice snow lab website, but I will be looking at the precip anomalies now after the conclusion of this video. So that's my next bit of research. That's all I've got. I know it was kind of lengthy. I was kind of winded here. I like to be very detailed when it comes to these type of things because I find this stuff very fascinating. When you can compare some of these larger scale circulations, such as La Nina, more global impact type circulations, from the tropics and the Pacific all the way to the mid-latitudes, specifically in the winter season. I really, really enjoy doing this type of research, and I know I'm very detailed, very thorough. I try to make this easy and digestible for those of you out there that really don't understand the weather quite as extensively. I try to break this down into simple terms. All right, that's all I got for now. Hope you enjoyed this presentation, and I'll move on now to the precip anomalies research to see how those winters panned out after the La Nina summers, the onset of La Nina occurred late summer. That's all I got for now, everybody. Until next time, take care. God bless everyone.